What if I told you that right now, behind everything you perceive as reality, there is a pulsating, invisible silence that watches over you, envelops you, sustains you, and at the same time, calls your name? What if the void, that space between thoughts, between atoms, between the beats of your own heart, wasn't the end, but the beginning of everything? Imagine for a moment that what you call nothing is, in fact, the cosmic womb of all possibilities, the invisible stage where entire universes are waiting to be born. Have you ever felt, even without words, a strange longing for something you never experienced, a restless feeling that something is missing, not on the outside but inside in your essence? This is the subtle call of the quantum void, a silent invitation, an ancient, almost forgotten memory that your daily life is just the surface of an infinite ocean of potential. What seems like absence, emptiness, silence is in fact a compacted fullness, a fertile space, where the most awakened and abundant version of who you are already exists, waiting for a gesture from you, a sigh of courage, a vibration of faith. In this quantum void, which is not absence, but pure fullness, all possibilities rest. The past, the future, all versions of you, every unlived dream, every choice never made, everything is now dormant like seeds waiting for the gardener's touch. And, at this very moment, something within you recognizes this call. It feels that the world it sees, touches, names is not everything. There is a thin line, an invisible thread, connecting your most intimate search to this silent field where everything is possible. The quantum awakening begins like this, not as a scream, but as a whisper within your chest. It's when you realize that you are not separate from the field. You never were. That you are not a solitary fragment lost in the universe, but a living expression of the void itself, of the source itself, dancing the mystery of existence. What calls you is not fantasy nor reverie. It is a hidden memory, a silent certainty that there is something greater, and that this something is summoning you to cross the threshold of routine, to break free from autopilot, to dare to open up to the radical possibility of being more, feeling more, vibrating beyond. This video is not just an explanation, not a discourse, nor a common script. It is a ritual of crossing, an invitation to a deep dive where the real falls apart and the possible emerges. Because the quantum leap you seek is not a mental trick, not a theory to believe or reject. It is a call to realign body, mind, and spirit with a higher frequency, already present, waiting to be embodied by you. Here now the void calls your name, and only those who feel this call understand. The void is not the end. The void is the beginning. The void is everything. By crossing the threshold of this primordial silence, the quantum void, you begin to realize that everything you judged as absence, everything you believed to be empty is, in fact, the invisible womb of all realities. There is nothing more fertile than the space where apparently there is nothing. It is in this hidden field, full of unmanifested potential, that the invisible call echoing within you resides. Perhaps you have already felt this in moments of pure stillness, when the noise of the world gives way to a gentle restlessness, like a breeze touching your chest. Maybe it came as an unexpected shiver in the face of something beautiful, like a feeling of expansion that can't be explained, a desire to cry without knowing why, a joy that sprouts in the center of your being and then disappears, leaving only a scent of mystery in the air. It is in these moments that the quantum void whispers, "There is more, much more." The inner call is the language of the field, and every human being feels it, sooner or later. It is the invitation of future versions of themselves, those who have already broken through limits, already danced beyond fears, already experienced states of being that the common mind can barely conceive. Imagine a silent, deep ocean, where every drop contains the reflection of all your possibilities. In this ocean, the most expansive, creative, and free versions of you send waves that reach here like messages in a bottle, saying, "Come, you can cross." Mystics of all traditions, avant-garde physicists, artists, and dreamers have always reported this same feeling of something greater calling from the invisible. The poet senses a verse not yet written. The scientist feels the answer before the equation. The seeker, in silence, realizes that life is not just the sum of facts, but is traversed by a mystery that cannot be put into words. You, like everyone who seeks beyond the obvious, have already experienced the call of the field, even if for a brief second. even if you doubted it soon after. This call is not a privilege of the enlightened. It pulses in each one of us, in the most unexpected moments, in the loneliness of the early morning, in the contemplation of nature, in the gaze of a loved one, in the void after a loss, in the silent ecstasy that arises after fear. Every subtle vibration in the body, every sudden expansion in the chest, every feeling of being out of time is an invitation. Perceive, awaken, align. The quantum field is, all the time, waiting for your response. Try, now, to turn inward. Close your eyes if you wish. Feel your own body, the breath, the pulse, the space between heartbeats. Notice that, even in the apparent silence, there is a living field, vibrating, whispering possibilities. The call is not for reason, it is for sensitivity. Allow this subtle vibration to be felt, without forcing, without rush. Breathe deeply, invite the new. The quantum void does not scream. It calls with sweetness, with patience, with an unwavering constancy. Before you continue, contemplate. When was the last time you felt the call of the invisible? What changed, even slightly after that instant? Embrace these memories, recognize this silent invitation, and know, every time you respond, even with a timid gesture, you open a portal to a new reality. The quantum leap begins here, in the body that listens, in the soul that responds, in the heart that dares to believe that the void is not absence, but the source of all possibilities. The true quantum awakening doesn't happen like a bolt of lightning that tears through the sky. It unfolds, layer by layer, as you begin to see life from a radically new perspective. Instead of walking hypnotized by the same mental, emotional, and energetic paths, you realize you have been living trapped inside invisible patterns, repeated to exhaustion, that weave routine as if they were soft, comfortable, but limiting bars. Every recurrent thought, every repeated emotion, every old belief is like stepping, day after day, into the same groove of an old trail. How many times have you caught yourself telling yourself you wanted to change, but in practice, you were dragged by feelings and reactions that seem to have a life of their own? It's like trying to free yourself from a web made by your own hands. The more you struggle, the more entangled you become. The body, wise and mysterious, records these patterns in every cell. The old self, the one that repeats narratives of scarcity, abandonment, limitation, becomes a kind of autopilot. You wake up, repeat the same thoughts as the day before, feel the same emotions, respond to situations as you always have. Behind every seemingly new decision, there is the energetic signature of the past, guiding, attracting, and limiting. The trap is seductive because it offers the comfort of the familiar. The body gets used to the taste of old emotions, even the painful ones, and creates an almost invisible dependence. The mind justifies, rationalizes, builds stories to avoid change. And so, you live as if you were dreaming the same dream every night, without realizing you can wake up. But the quantum awakening requires a rupture. It's not enough to intellectually decide that you want the new. A vibrational break is needed, a gesture that involves the whole being. It's the moment when you realize that you no longer want to live guided by fear, by doubt, by the feeling of unworthiness. It is not a battle against the past, but a choice in favor of the future. Breaking the cycle of the old self is affirming, with your body and soul, that you are ready for a new frequency. Think now. How many areas of your life seem stuck in the same script? How many times have you tried to change, but were pulled back into old behaviors, resentments, anxieties? The awakening happens when you refuse to feed these patterns, when you refuse to repeat the old stories. It's like a silent vow with the field. I choose no longer to vibrate at the frequency of the past. This process can be uncomfortable. The body, accustomed to the known, resists. The mind doubts, tries to negotiate, offers excuses. But every time you consciously interrupt an old pattern, changing a thought, elevating an emotion, breathing deeply in the face of an automatic impulse, you make a micro-rupture. You open a small space for the new. Each choice adds up to the previous one, and, little by little, the timeline shifts. Reality begins to respond differently. Life on autopilot is dense, predictable, numbing. Awakened life is fluid, surprising, vibrant. The quantum leap requires the courage to give up the comfort of the prison and embrace the discomfort of freedom. It is not a single event, but a succession of ruptures, small and large, throughout the days, weeks, years. If this video already makes sense to you, take the opportunity to subscribe, leave your like, and share in the comments a word that represents your awakening. Before moving forward, make an intimate commitment to yourself. Observe today, throughout the day, the patterns that repeat most in your life. Do not judge them, just recognize them. Ask yourself, what is this cycle trying to teach me? What part of me still feeds on these emotions? The simple act of bringing light to these patterns already begins the rupture. And every time you choose, even for an instant, to vibrate differently, the leap begins to happen. The quantum field, often described by scientists and mystics as the invisible fabric of the universe, is, in fact, the most faithful mirror of your vibrational essence. It is not an external, neutral, and impersonal agent. It is intrinsically linked to your existence, responding to every thought, every emotion, every subtle impulse that crosses your being. Have you ever noticed that certain patterns repeat almost as if they were a secret script, an unconscious choreography, always bringing the same experiences, the same people, the same results? Behind this repetition is the quantum field, functioning as a cosmic mirror that reflects, without judgments or preferences, what you truly radiate, and not simply what you desire. The famous observer effect of modern physics reveals a profound truth. Reality collapses into form according to the quality of your attention and your dominant emotion. The field does not respond to superficial requests, empty promises, or momentary desires. It responds to your energetic signature, to the sum of your deepest beliefs, most frequent emotions, most constant expectations. Imagine the field as a mirror that doesn't show what you want to see, but rather what you are in essence. If you cultivate a vibration of fear, scarcity, or rejection, the field will return situations, people, and opportunities that confirm and amplify that frequency. It is not punishment nor injustice. It is just the neutral reflection of a universe that responds to being and not to discourse. How many times have you dreamed of abundance, but cultivated worries and doubts in the intimacy of your thoughts? How many times have you sought love, but carried a closed heart, burdened with old wounds and unhealed distrust? How many times have you asked the universe for freedom, but fed, daily, the small fears, the invisible prisons, the tendency to expect the worst? The quantum field receives and amplifies not what you affirm, but what you most consent to feel. Stop for a moment. Observe. What are the emotions that predominate in your daily life? What do you think about before you sleep? How do you react to small frustrations? In what tone do you speak to yourself when facing challenges? Each of these choices, however subtle, composes the energetic signature that the field captures and returns multiplied. In daily life, the mirror of the field is implacable in its fidelity. Relationships repeat themselves. Opportunities seem to distance themselves. Problems return under new masks, and the cycle perpetuates. Not because life is against you, but because the field, like a spotless mirror, can only show what is already present in your vibration. There is no room for masks, nor for empty speeches. The field wants your most intimate truth. This consciousness is not a reason for guilt, but for liberation. If reality reflects what you vibrate, then the power to change is, always, in your hands. The process begins with recognition. What have I been emitting without realizing? In what areas of life is my energy still trapped in cycles of scarcity, fear, lack of love? What thoughts and feelings do I repeat almost automatically without even noticing? Bring these answers to light without judgment. The mirror of the quantum field is ready to reflect any new frequency you decide to sustain, as long as it is born authentic, alive, felt entirely. It is not enough to repeat positive phrases. It is necessary to embody the emotion behind them, to feel it in the body, in the heart, in the breath. It is an invitation to radical honesty, to the courage to see yourself as you really are, not to punish yourself, but to finally free yourself. Before moving forward, I propose that you stop for a few moments and observe, with compassion, what has your life been reflecting back to you? What experiences have been returning as echoes of your most intimate vibration? Change begins with a sincere look in the mirror. Only then can you consciously decide what image you want to see reflected from now on. The body is not just a passive container of experience. It is the transmitter and receiver of the frequencies you cultivate in the quantum field. Bruce Lipton and epigenetics teach us. Your biology responds minute by minute to the internal state you maintain. Emotions, thoughts, and beliefs do not just stay in the mind. They translate into chemical signals, into electrical impulses, into waves that cross every cell, programming the body to align with or disconnect from the abundance of the field. When you live contracted, feeding fear, resentment, distrust, your body closes up. Your energy fragments, your transmission becomes incoherent. It's like a radio tuned off frequency. The message arrives distorted, the tuning is lost, life seems not to respond. But when you decide to open your heart, even in the face of the unknown, the body enters coherence. The vibration changes, the transmission becomes clear, strong, magnetic. Your field begins to resonate with higher orders, and what seemed impossible begins to be attracted effortlessly into your experience. Think. Your body is like a quantum radio. If it is tuned to fear, scarcity, or self-sabotage, it will only receive that station, repeating dramas and frustrations. But if you, consciously, adjust the internal antenna, open your chest, relax your belly, breathe deeply, feel gratitude, then your body transforms into the living antenna of your own vibrational revolution. The key to the quantum leap is precisely in this alignment. Body, mind, and emotion vibrating in the same tune, emitting a coherent frequency that the field recognizes and amplifies. It is not a matter of isolated willpower, but of integral harmony. At this moment, do a brief guided practice. Breathe slowly and deeply. Feel the air filling your chest, expanding the internal space. As you inhale, imagine light entering the top of your head. As you exhale, release everything that weighs you down, as if cleaning the antenna. Repeat this 3 times. Feel the body adjusting. Feel the frequency changing. Feel yourself more present, receptive, aligned. Your body is the portal. It is through it that the leap happens. The more you take care of your internal field, the more easily you become a channel for a new reality. The quantum leap does not happen as a single lightning bolt, a rare event, or a sudden point of arrival. The true leap is practice. It is a daily ritual. It is a constant choice to align, again and again, with what you wish to embody. The quantum awakening is sustained in routine, in the simple, in the ordinary, transformed into extraordinary by intention. The ritual does not have to be mystical, long, or complicated. The secret lies in the frequency, in the intention, in the sacred repetition that reprograms the body, the mind, and the field. I propose something simple, yet profound. Upon waking, before any word, bring a long and slow breath into your chest. Feel gratitude for being alive, for having a body, for being able to choose. Touch your heart, even briefly, as a silent seal of presence. Close your eyes, even for a few seconds, and declare internally, I am already aligned with the frequency of my leap. Allow yourself to feel, even if it is subtle, even if it is brief, the sensation of already living the new timeline. This micro-ritual is not magical by itself. It functions as a frequency anchor, a vibrational reminder for the field. Every time you repeat it, even if imperfectly, the new pattern will become more familiar. It's like building a new trail in the woods. With each step, the path opens, strengthens, becomes natural. You can create other small awakening rituals, drinking a glass of water with the intention of clarity, opening the window and contemplating the sky, writing a power word on a piece of paper and carrying it with you. The important thing is not the external format, but the internal state that these gestures evoke. The ritual is your daily vow with the new reality. It is your password to access the desired frequency. Over time, you will realize that each repetition of this ritual strengthens the new timeline until it ceases to be an effort and becomes your natural habitat. The quantum leap, then, ceases to be an event and becomes a way of existing, a decision renewed every morning, with every gesture, with every conscious breath. On the path of the quantum leap, perhaps the biggest challenge is not the fear of the unknown, but the comfortable seduction of the familiar. The old timeline, where everything repeats itself, exerts a silent, almost hypnotic magnetism. As much as you aspire for changes, it is common to feel a strange attraction to the routine of the same emotions, the same thoughts, the same results. It's as if life, instead of a river, transformed into a closed circle, in which you walk without realizing you are always returning to the same starting point. Stop for a moment and reflect. How many times have you found yourself, almost unintentionally, returning to patterns you swore to abandon? There is a hidden power in old habits, in familiar feelings, in the stories we have always told ourselves. Fear, scarcity, the need for control, doubt. All these are bricks of an energetic structure that keeps you anchored in the old timeline. Even when a spark of change arises, doubts, relapses, and an internal voice whispering appear. Is it worth it? Is it safe? What if it doesn't work? What if I can't handle it? It is important to remember. Doubts and relapses are not failures, but invitations to choose again. Every time you realize you have returned to the old cycle, you receive a chance to reposition yourself. The relapse reveals where there is still attachment, fear, identification. It shows that the leap is not an event, but a living practice. Just as the body learns a new movement through repetition, the soul strengthens each time it dares to choose the new timeline. See yourself in front of these two doors in daily situations. When you wake up, when you receive news, when you feel challenged, when you get into a conflict, ask yourself, am I choosing to react as I always have, or am I willing to respond from the new frequency? Sometimes, the old timeline presents itself in the form of automatic thoughts, conditioned emotional responses, unconscious searches for validation or protection. Other times, it manifests in procrastination, self-abandonment, the postponement of one's own dreams. It is natural to feel fear when leaving behind what has always accompanied you. Even if it is pain or limitation, discomfort is part of the birth of the new. No one leaps into a new reality without feeling, for a moment, the emptiness between what is left behind and what has not yet materialized. The secret is to cross this void with confidence, not as one who expects external guarantees, but as one who decides to be faithful to the inner call. Remember, the old timeline offers the illusion of security, but the price is stagnation. The new line requires confidence, surrender, presence, but the prize is expansion. It is the encounter with yourself in a freer, more abundant, more coherent version. The leap does not happen far from the challenges, but precisely in the midst of them, when you become greater than your old limits. Allow yourself now to do a loving inventory. Which doors have you been choosing on autopilot? What fears still hold you to the old? What do you gain, and what do you lose by remaining on this timeline? Only by recognizing these mechanisms, without guilt, is it possible to embrace yourself in the process of the leap. You are not alone in this journey. The entire quantum field conspires to support those who have the courage to choose the new, to cross the portal, to become their own revolution. We have reached the culminating point. The quantum leap is not about desiring changes, but about embodying, moment by moment, the already awakened version of who you truly are. Many seek external signs, miracles, guarantees. But the greatest transformation happens when you accept that the magic is not out there, waiting to happen. The magic is revealed the moment you decide to be the living manifestation of this new frequency. The quantum awakening does not happen as a spectacle. It does not happen amid fireworks, nor under the applause of the external world. It happens in silence, in the secrecy of intention, in the instant you choose, even in the face of doubts, even in the face of the old open doors, to vibrate as if it were already real, as if you were already living what you once only dared to dream. Imagine now, with all your presence, that every word you speak, every gesture you make, every daily choice is a vibrational offering launched into the quantum field. The field does not respond to wanting, but to being. It is when you act, feel, think, and decide from the new identity, even before the evidence, that the field begins to collapse. Here and now, a higher reality. Maybe you imagine that the leap is something distant, reserved for a few. But the truth is that you are already, at every instant, transmitting signals to the universe, molding possible futures with what you allow yourself to vibrate. Even in small choices, the way you treat yourself upon waking, the way you respond to the unexpected, the tone you use to speak to yourself or to others, you are telling the field, this is where I vibrate. This is what I am ready to receive. It's not about waiting for a miracle. It's about becoming the miracle, about deciding every new day to vibrate at the frequency of the awakened being, about abandoning waiting, ceasing negotiations with the old self, choosing to embody now what you have always sought on the outside. The world needs people who are not just desiring, but who are the living manifestation of what they desire. Magic is a state of presence. It is a silent commitment to the new timeline. It is knowing that every time you dare to vibrate the new, you are opening a path not only for yourself, but for the entire web of existence. Therefore, receive this call. Do not wait for life to prove its magic. You prove it to the field with your surrender, with your presence, with the vibrational truth of your being. Every small gesture, every aligned choice, every elevated thought is like a seed thrown into the soil of the quantum void. The blossoming is inevitable for those who do not retreat, for those who do not give up vibrating, for those who remain faithful to the call of the new. You are not here to wait for magic. You are here to be the magic. The leap begins within and reverberates in all directions. Reality responds to what you decide to be, not to what you ask to happen. If this video has awakened something in you, comment below a word that represents the leap you are ready to live. It can be abundance, freedom, love, confidence. Declare to the quantum field that you are ready. Subscribe to walk together on this new frequency, because the true revolution is collective, and each awakened being expands the field for everyone.